Hello, my name is Frank Christensen and I'm the coordinator of officials for IFAF Europe. This is the second of 2 training tapes dealing with roughing the kicker. Today we're looking at kickers that leave the tackle box. So they roll out before they kick, either voluntarily or they're forced out. Doesn't really matter that much. And we'll look at what rules apply once the kicker leaves the pocket or the tackle box. And we'll look at some examples of when is it a foul, when isn't it a foul, and talk a little bit of philosophy also. But before we get there, before we get to the game film, let's have a look to see what the rulebook and the MOFO have to say on this topic.
In the rulebook, we start in definitions 227.3, kicker and holder. A. The kicker is any player who punts, drop kicks, or place kicks according to rule. He remains the kicker until he has had a reasonable time to regain his balance. B. A holder is a player who controls the ball on the ground or on the kicking team. During a scrimmage kick play, he remains the holder until no player is in position to make the kick, or, if the ball is kicked, until the kicker has had a reasonable time to regain his balance. In Rule 9.1.16, dealing with roughing the kicker. When it is obvious that a scrimmage kick will be made, no opponent shall run into or rough the kicker or the holder of a place kick. 1. Roughing is a live ball foul that endangers the kicker or holder. 2. Running into the kicker or holder is a live ball foul that occurs when the kicker or holder is displaced from his kicking or holding position but is not roughed. 3. Incidental contact with the kicker or holder is not a foul. 4. The kicker's protection under this rule ends A. when he has had reasonable time to regain his balance, or B. when he carries the ball outside the tackle box before kicking. 5. When a defensive player's contact against the kicker or holder is caused by an opponent's block, and that can be legal or illegal, there is no foul for running into or roughing. 6. A player who makes contact with the kicker or holder after touching the kick is not charged with running into or roughing the kicker. 7. When a player other than one who blocks a scrimmage kick runs into or roughs the kicker or holder, it is a foul. And 8. When in question whether the foul is running into or roughing, the foul is roughing. In the MOFO, we go to 3-3 contact fouls. 7. Roughing and running into the kicker. A. Generally, contact with the kicker's kicking leg will be considered as running into the kicker, and contact with the plant leg, even if it is off the ground, will be considered as roughing the kicker. B. Anytime the kicker or holder are knocked off their feet, it should be called as roughing. And C. Where the kicker makes a move before the kick that is not part of the normal kicking motion, it is no longer obvious that a kick will be made, and there will probably be no foul unless the defensive player is out to punish him. Note that rugby-style kickers, those who kick on the run, are entitled to as much protection as conventional kickers after they have kicked the ball. But any contact with the kicker before the kick is simply tackling a ball carrier. D. Even if the snap is bad, a kick may still be obvious. Provided the kicker or holder gathers the ball and straight away goes into his normal motion, then he is entitled to protection, always assuming the ball is kicked. And finally, when in doubt principles, number 37 says the foul is roughing rather than running into the kicker. So that was the theory, that was the book. Now let's go have a look at some real live examples in the game film. So we're looking for situations where the kicker, just like here, takes the ball outside the tackle box, and as soon as he does that, he loses his roughing the kicker protection. So right now he's certainly out of the tackle box, and this contact by the defender, even though it's rough, is not illegal, is not a personal foul, roughing the kicker. In this play, as you'll see, the snap is okay, it doesn't go over the head of the kicker. So he takes the ball out of the tackle box on his own free will. So he's not forced out, but he actually decides to run. But that really doesn't matter. As soon as he does that, he loses his roughing the kicker protection. Now all he has is dead ball protection. And clearly the ball is not dead here, so this is another legal play. Here's another example of a punter, a potential punter, who decides on his own to run outside the tackle box. And even though you could argue that it looks like he's going to kick here, really doesn't matter. He's outside the tackle box, and now he doesn't get his protection anymore. So this is a legal play because the hit in itself is legal, and there's no roughing the kicker here. Here's another example where the potential kicker takes the ball outside the tackle box, losing his protection, making this contact perfectly legal. Even in the tackle box, I'm not sure. This certainly wouldn't have been roughing the kicker, and outside the tackle box, it's absolutely nothing. When the punter runs like this in a crew of 8, he becomes the responsibility of the center judge, who does a good job here of covering him, and the referee turns into a backside cleanup official. But in any case, no foul for roughing the kicker. Here's an example of the typical rugby style kick, where it's completely on purpose that the kicker runs out of the pocket, runs out of the tackle box, and then he kicks on the move rugby style. But again, once he leaves the tackle box, which he certainly is here, then this hit is perfectly legal, and we get another look at it from the sideline to see where the hit really is. From the sideline, we get a very good view of what the hit really looks like, and this certainly would be roughing the kicker had it happened inside the tackle box. This is too much contact, too forcible against the kicker to let go. But since he takes the ball outside the tackle box, now all bets are off, so to speak. So this is just a good defensive play and legal play. Here's the last example of a legal hit on the kicker, and the system is pretty clear. Once he takes the ball outside the tackle box, all bets are off. So even though they hit him very close to when he kicks the ball, and they do get they hit his leg, they hit his body, it is still a legal play because he is out of the tackle box when he kicks the ball. On this final play, we're also obviously looking at the kicker, and he's again going to take the ball outside of the tackle box, but then the return starts, and then he gets hit. So we do have a foul against the kicker here. It is not roughing the kicker because obviously it happens during the return. So this is not a roughing the kicker, but it is a personal foul, either an unnecessary roughness, or it could also be a blindside block. The enforcement would be the same. And speaking of enforcement, if we had a roughing the kicker here, obviously the penalty enforcement would be from the previous spot, and A would keep the ball, whereas now that it happens during the return, it turns into a basic spot enforcement, and B gets to keep the ball. So even though the kicker stays defenseless throughout this play, this would have been a foul had it happened against any other player other than the kicker also. So I guess the bottom line here is once the kicker takes the ball out of the tackle box, it's very, very difficult, if not impossible, to have a personal foul roughing the kicker against him. And that was the training tape. I hope it made sense, and I hope you found something you can use on the field.